Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and today I'm going to be checking out a new track by Valcata. Now I have checked out this band possibly 3, maybe 4 times previously, and they're a band that I don't know if I can really call it a band. It's a project that really intrigued me, because about 4 years ago they released a concept album entitled Valcata, if I remember correctly. And, you know, it had this overarching science fiction story about, if I remember correctly, this group of scientists blasting off into space trying to find a new world, because the one that we inhabit already was so messed up. So they wanted to find somewhere else for us to inhabit. And they encountered this other, I'm going to say other race, but the other race actually turned out to be them. You know, they encountered themselves, but from thousands of years advanced. If I remember the story correctly, I could be misremembering. Like I said, it's about 4 years ago. You know, and it was a really interesting concept, because the main composer, Archangel, if I remember his name correctly, you know, he sort of brought this project together from musicians all around the world, collaborating over the internet to create this album. You know, and it was a really impressive feat. And, you know, it was a great album. The music itself was great. You know, it had sort of symphonic metal / opera / power metal sort of elements going through it. You know, it was a really interesting concept. And, you know, since then they've released a couple of sort of standalone tracks, such as Tower and Paralysed, which was the most recent one that I looked at maybe about a year ago, 10 months, a year ago maybe. You know, so it's a very interesting project for me. You know, I find them very interesting, and the music has always been really, really good and very, very interesting. So recently they released a new track called Archangel. So I thought, do you know what? I want to have a look at this, because, like I say, I've been impressed by their music so far. Is this going to be any different? Could it be something new and interesting? You know, because all of their music has managed to be interesting in every iteration. You know, there was the album, which was really, really cool. Then they had those other 2 standalone tracks that I checked out, and they managed to be unique in their own way, but still maintain, you know, the whole spirit and premise of the project, you know, the premise of Valcata. So I'm going to look at this track. It doesn't actually have a video per se. It's a sort of visualize a lyric video, as I understand it. But I'm very curious to see what this is like. So we'll jump into this and see what we've got. So this is Valcata Archangel. Let's have a look.
Before you saw me, I saw you.
There we go. Archangel by Valcata, and it's another great piece of music. I mean, it said on the video there it's featuring Pete Rawcliffe. I don't know who that is, but I'm guessing it wasn't the singer. Let's have a quick. Pete Rawcliffe. Pete sings in symphonic metal band Crown Solace. There you go. I can only imagine that he was possibly a guitarist or some kind of instrumentalist on that piece of music. I don't know. I mean, obviously, like I said, unless he's got a very effeminate voice, I don't think that was him singing. Hi there. It's me whilst editing this video. Now, when I went into this track, I went into it completely blind, as I do with most pieces of music I look at. And normally, if I've not heard of a band before, I'll do some research on who they are and talk about that before the track. Now, having listened to Valcata before, I failed to do so, and much to my detriment, I might add, because after checking out this video, I noted that the track featured Pete Rawcliffe, and I mentioned I had no idea who that was, and I quite erroneously made the assumption that he couldn't have been the vocalist. In fact, at one point stating, I doubt he's the vocalist unless he has a very effeminate voice. Now, as it turns out, Pete Rawcliffe was indeed the vocalist for this piece of music. After recording this reaction, I went and looked him up on YouTube and checked out some of his videos, and he is an incredibly talented soprano vocalist, I believe he is. I believe it's a soprano. So, you know, very impressive, very talented vocalist. Now, I just want to clarify here that I made some comments saying, you know, I doubt it was him unless he had a very effeminate voice. I don't want this to be interpreted as insulting or derogatory towards the artist in any way. Because, you know, at the time I had no idea that he was the person singing, and I had no clue, because honestly I've never heard a voice like that come out of a man before. Now, I mean, I've covered many different music styles on here. I've heard many different vocalists before. I mean, we look at artists like Ginger, you know. One minute she's singing with this beautiful melodic voice, next minute she's throwing out death metal growls to rival Glenn Benton. You know, unexpected. And I honestly didn't expect this voice to have come from a man. I just don't want anybody to interpret this as me being insulting or derogatory towards the artist. Like I said, I think he's incredibly talented. Having checked out who he actually was, he is an incredibly talented vocalist. So I don't want anybody to interpret this as me being derogatory or insulting towards him, and I hope, like, no feelings were hurt. I genuinely had no idea. Anyway, back to the video. But yeah, it's a great piece of music. It had very strong Nightwish vibes, you know, sort of back with Tyre sort of era Nightwish before they got Floor and the other woman who did vocals for them for a short while, whose name I can never remember. I really quite liked it. I really liked it. You know, I'd be very happy to listen to that. And for such an epic sounding piece of music, you know, with these sort of symphonic, powerful metal, you know, pieces of music, they're normally like 6, 8, 10 minutes long. This is only 3 minutes 40 and some change. You know, so it's quite a short song for such an epic sounding song. So, yeah. Now, the actual song itself, Archangel, it seems to be talking about someone seeing, like, the love of their life as an archangel. You know, they're seeing someone they love as a divine being, possibly. That's what it seems to suggest, unless they are talking directly as, you know, someone as an archangel, and, you know, they just greatly admire and love this presence of this archangel in their life. I can't 100% be sure. Because the lyrics go, before you saw me, I saw you. Before I heard your voice, I knew. The stars had aligned for me to find you. And after all the pain and promises unkept, I still can't let go of all the dreams I dreamed of you, Archangel. And everything leads back to you, Archangel, my darling, my love. Now, that last bit, Archangel, my darling, my love, suggests, it's a romantic partner, but it could also just be that this Archangel's presence in their life is the one thing that they really needed, and they love this person unequivocally, not in necessarily a romantic way, but it doesn't come across that way in the way that the song is sung. Before you saw me, I saw you. So that's almost like the I saw you across the room sort of vibe. Before I heard your voice, I knew the stars had aligned for me to find you. So just seeing this person before that person even knew that she existed, before even speaking to her, she knew that this person was going to be an essential part of her life, it seems. And after all the pain and promises unkept, I still can't let go of all the dreams I dreamed of you. So all the pain and promises unkept, is that what she suffered before she found this person? Or is it because she's in love with this person from afar? It could well be an unrequited love, in a way. That line there sort of kind of suggests all the pain and promises unkept. I can't still let go of all the dreams I dreamed of you. And everything leads back to you. So everything in her life draws her back to this person, and she's always dreaming of this person. So what are the pain and promises unkept? Is it, like I said, is it pain and promises unkept from her life before, and this person is the sort of salvation in her life, and it's the one thing that brings her joy now and sort of erases all the pain and stuff that's happened to her before? Or, like I said, is this a sort of unrequited love? She's seen this person across the room, she's instantly fallen in love with this person, and, it's not reciprocated, as it were. I'm not sure. Before you watched my misery come to light, before I caved in and the demons in my soul made the night known, then your divinity snatched the thunder and cast a shadow over me, and though I live without the hope I had before, it's so hard to ignore all the dreams I dreamed of you, Archangel, and everything leads back to you, Archangel, my darling, my love. So, before you watched my misery come to light, so it's before you saw me for who I am, before you saw all the pain and agony that I was going through, before I caved in and the demons in my soul made the night known. So again, the demons in my soul made the night known. Could that be a sort of allusion to, like, depression? Like there's often, like, the suggestion of the black dog that follows you around, or a dark fog that sort of descends over someone. Is that just another way of saying that? But before I let my depression overcome me, before all this happened, before you saw this happen to me, your divinity snatched the thunder and cast a shadow over me. So your amazing and wonderful presence took away some of the, well, it says there thunder, so could that be interpreted as like the pain, the sort of constant shouting that she might hear in her head, of telling her she's not very good and that she's unlovable, sort of thing? I don't know. And though I live without the hope I had before. So again, I live without the hope I had before. So is that sort of suggesting, before I went through these traumatic times, I was full of life, I was full of hope and had dreams and stuff like that, and then all this sort of misery came upon me, all this hurt and pain came upon me, and even though I don't have that sort of innocence I had before all those troubles, it's still hard to ignore the effect that you have on my life. It hasn't taken my life back to where it used to be, but it still lifts me up in a way. Possibly, I don't know. It's very hard to fully understand this. If I were stronger than I am, I'd make real the darkest reveries, the hemorrhaging of heart, undue reddening of a beautiful silver sky. But you'll live to tell the lie, so faint of heart am I. And after all the years I've loved and lost since then, I'm still remembering all the dreams I dream of you, Archangel. And everything leads to you, Archangel. And all the dreams I dream, my darling. And everything leads back to you, Archangel, my darling, my love. So, if I was stronger than I am, I'd make real the darkest reveries. You know, that sounds very sort of counter to what everything else has been. You know, she's been saying like she was miserable and sad, and this Archangel seems to have brought some sort of light and hope. But now she's saying, you know, if I was stronger than I am, I'd make real the darkest reveries. So I'm not sure where that's going. The hemorrhaging of heart. So again, that sounds like the pain of like romantic loss. So again, is this like an unrequited love from this Archangel? You know, is she loving this person from afar, and this person doesn't necessarily not know she exists? It's just they don't see her that way, you know. I'm not sure. Undue reddening of beautiful silver sky. So, you know, it's like everything's sort of becoming dark and clouded, you know. She's saying, make real the darkest reveries, the hemorrhaging of heart, and reddening the silver sky. So, you know, everything's sort of turning to doom and gloom. And then it says, but you'll live to tell the lie. I'm not sure. I really don't know. It's very hard to tell. Because at the beginning, it sort of sounded hopeful. You know, she was saying, you know, from the moment I first saw you, before I even heard your voice, you know, I knew that you were an important factor in my life. You were something that I really, really cared about. You know, I knew that you were going to have an important impact on my life. And despite all the pain and suffering, you know, there was still you there. But now towards the end, it sounds very sort of negative and sort of angry and hurtful. So I'm really not sure. But either way, it's still a very, very good piece of music. You know, the instrumentation just sounds amazing. And like I said, this guy, Archangel, he sort of composes the whole thing. And I don't know if he still does it this way, but, you know, he sort of collaborates with artists all over the world. Like there might be a guitarist on one continent, there might be a keyboard player on another continent, a drummer on another continent. And he sort of brings all these people together to create this music. So I'm not sure if that's necessarily what he's done with this music, but like I said, that's how the Valcata album was created. So, you know, I've always been impressed by the way he puts these pieces of music together, because all the pieces of music I've heard by him have sounded amazing, you know, and he brings together all these amazing artists to create his vision, and it always comes out brilliantly, you know, and it's been, you know, big gaps between the pieces of music, because like I said, the Valcata album was about 4 years ago, and then there was the standalone track Tower, which was about 2 years ago, and then there was the track Paralyzed, which was maybe a year, 10 months ago, you know, and now there's this. So there's sort of big gaps between each piece of music that's created. You know, because Lord knows how long it took him to actually create the Valcata album, because I think it was either 10 or 12 tracks, if I remember correctly. You know, so Lord knows how long it took to actually create that, you know, especially collaborating with artists all over the world, because, you know, you got to take into consideration time differences and, you know, people being available or not, you know, because all these other artists might be like members of other bands, you know, they could go off touring for several months, you know, so they might not be available to record a certain part of a certain track, you know, so it takes a lot of time and effort and patience to create these pieces of music, and that's something I find very, very impressive, you know, and like I say, every piece of music I've heard by this band has been fantastic, and this track's no exception. Like I said, it's got a very strong Nightwish sort of sound to it, and I like I like old Nightwish. I don't really like them so much anymore, you know. Once Tarja left, their music just changed too much for my liking. But we're not here to talk about that. So yeah, another great piece of music by Valcata. But I don't know what else I can say about that, so I'm going to leave that as it is. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and a subscribe, because that really, really would help me out. You know, it would really help the channel out, because, you know, I spend a lot of time creating these videos, put a lot of time and effort into recording them, editing them and all that. And, you know, I'm uploading them and they're just sort of disappearing. You know, the YouTube algorithm's just sort of hiding them in the back room somewhere for anybody who dares venture that far, because you know, people just aren't liking and subscribing, and you know, it's kind of disheartening, because I've been doing this for about 5 years now, and you know, I music is a huge passion of mine. And, you know, I sort of started this so I could discover new music, but I also wanted to help other people maybe discover new music. You know, I've had a few people come up on my channel say, you know, oh, I wouldn't have found this band if it wasn't for you. And that's great. That's wonderful to me, because if I can help somebody find another piece of music, something that they're passionate about, that's wonderful. You know, introducing people to new music is one of the not best things you can do for someone, because music is a universal language. You know, and this is the sort of thing I wanted to do. And I wanted to sort of put my own sort of spin on it, and, you know, talk about the themes and stories held within the song lyrics, because I don't think any other React channel does that. You know, and metal music is often misunderstood. You know, a lot of people who don't necessarily know much about heavy metal seem to think that heavy metal is all about Satan worship, evil, murder, that sort of thing. But throughout the years on this channel, I've talked about thousands and thousands of songs which tackle subjects like mental health, homelessness, veterans being sort of forgotten after they've put their lives on the line for their country. You know, we've talked about so many deep, real world issues through lyrics of songs, of metal songs, and a lot of people seem to sort of miss that. You know, a lot of people, like I said, just seem to think it's all about violence, and, you know, so I like to think I bring something different than any other React channel, but people aren't getting to see it because no one's liking and subscribing. Because I think at the moment only about 9.5% of people watching my videos are actually subscribed. And, you know, like I said, it's kind of disheartening, because, you know, I've been doing it for 5 years. And, you know, I put a lot of time into this. So if you could like and subscribe, it really would be greatly appreciated. It really would help the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. It takes a fraction of a second. And it really would help me out. But that's all I've got for you today. Thank you all very, very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.